Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another Spiritual Matters Thursday. I am your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando. I'm so excited to be here with you today because we're going to be talking about what's an ordinary moment that reconnected or rekindled your connection to the divine, to God, to spirit, to divine intelligence, however it is that you phrase it. And so, one of the things that we talk about here in Spiritual Matters Thursday is that spiritual matters is not something that you just relegate to um, Sundays or a retreat time or whatever the case may be, right? It is it is embedded in how you view the world, how you operate in the how you navigate in your life, right? And so we talk about faith not as an extraordinary compartment of your life, but rather as the ground in which you have your being. Some of you may be familiar with that quote, with that phrase. So I'll share with you some of the ordinary moments that I have had that reconnected my faith in God and with God to God. And then I want to hear from you, which ones you have, right? Um, so here's some examples. I'll go first. The first one, and if you've been here with me for any amount of time, then you know this story already. But I think the first idea that we have about God is our connection to our parents or our caregivers when we were children. And I knew energetically in my cell body that my mom, my dad, the adults around me loved and cared for me. It was a foregone conclusion. It wasn't even a question. I didn't even know that that was something to be questioned or that people didn't have that experience. I just thought all children are cared for by the people who are supposed to care for them. That's just how life is. And it wasn't until I had an experience with another adult, not my parents, an uncle, that it even dawned on me that's like, oh, some people don't have your best interest at heart. Oh, some people are okay with harming you. And that just kind of like shattered my worldview, right? Fast forward maybe 10, 15 years later, in my 20s, I had stage 4 cervical cancer and was given about a year to live. And the process of healing cancer was in itself an initiation into deepening my faith. So, why is Giovanni texting me? I am online. I'm on. Um, and so the conversations around um, what does it mean that, I lived in Miami at the time and I was always at the beach. I was always tanning, etc., but it wasn't skin cancer. I spoke for a living professionally. I still do. It wasn't throat cancer. At the time, I wore contact lenses and I was not responsible with my contact lens wear. Why wasn't it eye cancer? Of all the cancers that it could have been, why was it cervical? And for me, I mean, now, it means that I understand that in hindsight, right? That I had a lot of healing to do with the feminine, my own role as a mom, as a daughter, as a sister, and just what the feminine means in general in my relationship with my mother. So of course it would be cervical. That is the matriz, the matrix of motherhood. In fact, the word matrix comes from the same place as mother. So because that was such a profound experience, and because I had such a strong foundation of love and care when I was little, then it struck me that perhaps challenges aren't there because God forgot about you, or because you're being punished, or because some other, nefarious reason. Perhaps the challenges are there to grow you. Perhaps the challenges are there to chisel you. Perhaps the challenges are there because you are the one that is equipped to handle them. I remember being, growing up I was the oldest of three, the eldest of three. And I always was mad that everybody had a big sister except for me. Why couldn't I have a big sister? And so I always gravitated towards friends who were older than me because I wanted to duplicate that big sister feeling that my sister and my brother had with me. And um, my parents were always sending me to do stuff first. Like when we had doctor's appointments, I had to go first. I had to take the vaccines first, and I had to be the one to not cry so that I wouldn't scare my younger brother and sister. Like I couldn't be in my own experience. I mean, now thinking about it, it sounds absurd, but back then it was heartbreaking. Um, and there's a part of my childhood that was cut short because I, was parentified in that way, and because I had to take care of my brother and my sister in the ways that the eldest child usually does. And at the time, it felt like a disadvantage. At the time, it felt like this is unfair, right? However, fast forward to how I've made my living as a speaker, as a coach, as a trainer, as a writer, as a consultant, leading my company to Inc. 500, coaching thousands of people, and especially high performer and high achieving people. You had to go through that high achieving phase in order to understand how a high achieving person would need to be coached, right? And so in hindsight, because I have seen how all of that stuff has played out, you just got to keep on living. My grandmother always would say, just keep on living. And now when a challenge comes up, now when there's been a test of faith, a crisis of faith, they don't rise to that level anymore. But if it ever did, I have enough evidence. I have enough life history to know, number one, this too shall pass. Number two, that you were created or you were made or all of your life experiences have fashioned you for such a time as this, that you are equipped indeed to handle whatever it is that is in front of you. In fact, the fact that it's on your plate, you have called it forth by right of consciousness so that you can grow yourself. This is part of your curriculum, self-designed curriculum. And that to me feels very empowering. I don't know if it's true. I haven't checked the the answer key in the math book, right? But because of that position, I've been able to be much more patient with myself, extend much more grace to other people, and to create intimacy and depth in my relationship to the divine. And so I'm very curious as to what ordinary moments or time has strengthened or deepened or renewed your faith in God. Because when we start looking at them in hindsight, we can see a lot of insights that perhaps when we were going through it in the moment weren't available to us. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So I want to hear what ordinary moment or moments have renewed your faith in God, have renewed your faith in the divine, or have deepened your connection to the divine. Who would like to go first? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Grand,
It's,
grand,
is
ri-
it the
grand
talk of the bunch
rising,
today? Hi,
grand rising,
Rashida.
grand rising, my sister. I am so thrilled with the conversation that you're having, and you are complaining and whining. And I will say it's complaining and whining because I did the same thing, but I did the same thing because I was a sandwich child. So I have to put up with my three siblings on my left and three siblings on my right. And it was a torture. Which
Okay.
was a torture. And why I say that was a torture because I have to put up with three people, different personality on my left and three different personality on my right, and I wanted to punch them, punch them. I
I
want
know.
to knock them out clean. So what I did, I
Whole
withdraw
bunch,
myself.
I have to
Yes,
say.
I
Yes.
withdraw myself and I say, enough. You are going to leave me alone until today. I say it 11 years ago, I moved away from Brooklyn because my siblings live in Brooklyn. And I moved to the Poconos, 2.5 hours away. And they say, why you went so far? I say, to get rid of your motherfucker.
You were something else.
So I know exactly and I can relate, but you were the elderly, I was the sandwich. And I'm telling you, and they was heating me up like a sandwich. I don't know if they was putting tomatoes and ham and egg and whatsoever, but they was eating me up. And when I separate from them, it was a good thing, excellent thing. And now they reach out to me and they say, "Oh, when you gonna come down?" I went, "I don't want to see you guys. I have enough of you guys with my childhood." So thank you so much for the point that you make because I can relate, but I say as a sandwich child. Thank you.
It's funny. Our family of origin either teaches us what we want in life or teaches us what we don't like. Deeper clarity. So thank you for sharing that. Who else has something to share? What ordinary moment renewed or deepened your faith in God? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Birth of my children.
Oh yeah, that'll do it. That'll
Yeah,
do
no
it.
doubt. No doubt.
Were you there like present and you saw them coming into the world, or were you pacing like on an
Yes.
outside room?
No, I was in the room with the whole
Oh
process.
wow,
Yes. Yes.
it's
Yeah.
amazing.
I was that guy. I was that guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It's
yeah.
crazy. It's crazy. That first initial, like, what? Like, okay, that was a bump in your belly. Now it's a human being.
It's a human being,
Yeah,
and I'm responsible for it. Oh my God.
it's
Mm-hmm.
it's life affirming for sure. Life affirming for sure.
Yes.
But it's certainly the idea that you have the ability now to help raise and form that person, right? So
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing that. Good to see you, my friend. Who else has something? Ordinary moment that deepened or renewed your faith and your relationship in the divine. So, something else that I'll say, and this is so ordinary that you might not even notice it, because I didn't notice it until somebody pointed it out to me. And that is that even though it is very common, it's very popular, it's very socially acceptable to kind of rah-rah and complain about the state of the world today. Every generation talks about how this world is going to hell in a handbasket. That's not unique to the 21st century. We've been talking about it since time immemorial. But then, just like you have triggers, right, that trigger like a negative conversation, we also have glimmers. And glimmers give you like um, a little sneak peek or a little reminder that just like the poem that the Siddhartha says, strive to be happy. It's still, with all its sham and drudgery, it is still a beautiful world. That's the line in the Desiderata. And every now and again, even though you may see somebody punch somebody out of the blue in a public park, or all of the violence and the mayhem that we see out there, et cetera, every now and again, you'll see um, a homeless person share a sandwich with somebody else, just out of kindness, out of just, we're in this together. We can wax political about why are they even homeless to begin with. But the point that I'm making is the humanity of connecting with another human being, of saying, no matter what's happening in the world, somebody's got you, at least in this moment, at least in this way. And, the marriages that sometimes are on the brink of divorce, and somebody extends a hand, maybe a parent dies, and this person that you are on the outs with comes and sits with you and holds your hand. That despite whatever conflict, whatever disconnection we may be experiencing, I see your life experience and I want to be here for you, at least in this way. Right. And so there are little glimmers like that of kindness, of a reminder that we really are in this together, that we really do have the invitation from life itself to care for one another, that we really are on the same team. We may not, and this is something that I learned from my siblings. You know what, Rashida, you were talking about your siblings. We fought a lot. We got into like fist fights. I'm not talking like fighting like verbal fightings, although we did that too. But man, sometimes we went to town. I learned how to punch from my brother. You know what I mean? I learned how to pull hair and scratch skin from my sister. Like it was like that. And my parents were like, "These people are gonna kill each other. You're supposed to get along." Da, 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 da. But if you think about it, growing up with siblings is a microcosm of growing up in the world, right? That every person that you meet is a sibling of sorts for you. And you may pass each other and say hello, just like I passed my sister good morning on the way to the bathroom or whatever, right? And you may care for them, you may not, you may like them, you may not. But the thing that I learned about growing up with siblings is like, regardless of whether I like you today, if somebody messes with you, they mess with me. And I'm in your corner no matter what. Now we might duke it out later when we get home and I'm gonna tell mama what you did. Right? But as far as the world is concerned, we're on the same team. And so I'm going to invite you to think about the people that you meet today, strangers, colleagues, friends, co-workers, partners, neighbors, etc. If you were siblings in the same house, with the same mom, with the same dad, you may not know this person very well. You may not necessarily have a lot in common. You may not like them. They may, enrage you. Sometimes I was enraged by something that my brother did or my sister did or whatever. And I felt even more frustrated that I couldn't do anything about it. Why can't I kill this mother sucker? You know what I mean? Why am I supposed to care for this person that I dislike so much? And that contrast, that paradox, unbeknownst to me at the time, because I was just a child, but it prepared me to deal with the paradoxes of just dealing with people in general, right? That of that being in a relationship, being in a marriage, being in a friendship, being I don't know, in a lab together in school. There are some people that are going to be riding your coattails, or you're going to feel taken advantage of. It supports you in speaking up for yourself and advocating for yourself and stating and being clear on your needs and your boundaries so that you can communicate with somebody else, and then having conversations and the tools to be able to say, hey, that was unfair, or this was wrong, or I didn't like that, or you broke an agreement, or I broke an agreement, etc. And so I'm the point that I'm making is that I'm inviting you to look at how even something as ordinary as having siblings or not having siblings, being the oldest or the middle or the youngest, or staying home until you got married, or leaving home as soon as you could, or maybe you got kicked out or whatever, all of those little details of your biography are an invitation to look at how you navigate the world, and how you have been entrusted with the care and the well-being of at least one person on the planet, which is yourself, right? But also the people that come across you, that are in relationship with you, or that are in passing with you. Could you say that just with your energy alone, just with your way of being alone, that somebody has at least one safe place to be on the planet. Because some of us are not safe for other people. If people knew how they run through the streets of your biased, judgmental mind, right? And so this is just, a check yourself before you wreck yourself moment. Like, can I extend grace to another human being, even in the privacy, secrecy, and silence of my own mind? Right? If I never speak to them again, if I never see them again, if they don't even have to know that I'm thinking about them in this way, but can I extend grace to them? And then, of course, that stems from being able to extend grace to yourself. You really are doing the best that you know how. Even when you think you know better, sometimes you're like, I should have graduated from this lesson already. And, why am I still going through this thing? I thought I was over this lesson. I thought I was over this trial or blah, 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 blah. If you were, you wouldn't be here. And so you really are doing the best that you know how. And when you know better, you do better. And until you know better, you will do what you know best. Even if that means being petty, even if that means silent treatment, even if that means, like, those are the tools, right, that we learned. Like, when I was little, one of the ways that I punished my sister was by not speaking to her. And she felt the silence. She felt the like, energy vacuum of like, things are not okay with me and my sister, right? Later on, it was like, that's maladaptive, ma'am. That doesn't work. That's not sustainable. You're going to have to find better tools. And so as we grow, as we mature, as we develop tools to deal with ourselves and with each other, we become an even greater gift to those that we touch and to ourselves. And I welcome you and I invite you and I challenge you and I exhort you. You may have a very busy life. You may have people that you're responsible for. You may live with, your spouse or partner or children, or, have commitments and things like that. But manage to create a little cocoon for yourself of your own energy. If you can spend some time by yourself, it doesn't have to be long. It could be an hour, it could be 5 minutes, whatever the case may be. But a little time of solitude, just so that you can hear yourself think. You may need more than 5 minutes. Lord have mercy, I needed more than 5 minutes, especially when my children were young. It's like I can't even hear myself think. But if you find yourself in a space where you have a lot of time of solitude, don't resist it. It is a gift of divine intelligence, so that you can get to know yourself, so that you can deepen yourself, your thoughts, so that you can hear some divine instruction that you wouldn't otherwise be available to hear because you're so busy with the ins and outs of the world. And it's an opportunity for you to see in the ordinary moments how you've always been connected to the divine. So, last call for alcohol. By the way, alcohol is a Sanskrit word. It comes from a Sanskrit word that means spirits. That's another sermon for another Sunday. Last call for alcohol. Any other last thoughts or comments, questions, concerns, vents, grace talks, anything? Ordinary moments that you want to bring up?
I love how
Carter,
you
you
wrapped it
raising your
up.
hand?
That was
Say again?
beautiful how you wrapped it up. It was beautiful how you wrapped it
Oh,
up.
thank you.
I love
Thank
how
you.
you brought it back around and ended it right there. That was perfect.
Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome.
Kurt, you had something? Yes.
I'm going to say coincidences, when you experience things
Oh,
that you weren't
yeah.
expecting and you're thinking it's a coincidence, and it unpacks and it's like there's no such thing as coincidences.
That's a great point. Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yes. And, because we're nerds and we love the root of words and etymology and all of that, I would be remiss if I didn't say that the word coincidence, etymologically, comes from the same place as in architecture. It's a perfect angle. It is a perfectly placed angle. And so coincidences aren't so random after all. They're actually perfectly placed. So thank you for that reminder, Kurt. Anybody else? Ingrid, Stan, I saw you on video. Okay. You're muted, Stan. I can't hear you.
I don't always get a lot out of the conversation. I mean, I really do. Sometimes I just have to sit back and just take it in. Not ready to comment yet, you know what I'm saying? But no, but a great conversation. Thank you for it, Doc. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Remember to love generously, to give of your time, energy, attention, eat more plant-based food, stress less, exercise. Remember that twerking is a Kundalini raising exercise. You please twerk away. You have my permission. It's over there trying it out. Please sleep at least 7, preferably 8 or 9 hours of sleep. And of course, always challenge your assumptions. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. We love you. See you next time.
Take care, girl.
Thank you. Thank